Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to an episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday night live, 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time, here to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. Hope you guys had a great WrestleMania weekend, WrestleMania week, to be honest. Hope you guys had a great Easter with you and your loved ones. Hopefully the kids got everything that they desired inside that Easter basket. Hopefully the Easter Bunny did not leave a couple of eggs that he will forget about. But then at the end of the year, I remember, I think this is like a parenting 101 kind of thing. I kind of steer away from hiding the real eggs because we usually dye the real eggs the Saturday night before. And it's all good, but the kids really like it when they go out there and they they're searching for eggs that the Easter Bunny laid out, and then they see the ones that they created themselves, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's so cool!" But then sometimes and it happens to every parent out there, you forget about it, So I think it was 2-3 years ago. It was I think it was like August, which is terrible. And then I noticed my couch started it had like this weird, just a stench. It wasn't really rotten eggs, which is crazy because you think eggs would smell like rotten eggs. It was like just this different stench that I was like, what the hell is going on? I looked under the couch, didn't find it. Looked under the couch, looked under the entertainment center, and then I checked the couch cushions, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I think the egg, when, obviously people, repeatedly sit on the long sofa, 3 cushions, so, 3 people can sit on it at the same time. Somewhere, some way, it got wedged all the way in the back, and then, lo and behold, we found that real Easter egg. So, definitely, hope you guys found all those eggs. But we're here to talk about professional wrestling. Obviously, big ass weekend. It was great. The WrestleMania roast, I heard, was good, but probably is not wise to see the light of day. The Hall of Fame, obviously the Hall of Fame, the Slammies. There was a bunch of stuff that went down this weekend, and it was pretty badass. So we're going to get on into it. We're going to get on to absolutely everything. But first, we're going to talk about WWE NXT Stand and Deliver. We got WrestleMania Saturday Night Talk. We got WrestleMania Sunday Night Talk. Then we're going to talk about 3 stars that might be joining or that are, already signed contracts. We have 3 stars that are joining WWE in the near future. And then we're going to talk about, in our 5th and final segment, Samoa Joe recently has been, he was in an interview with Chris Van Vliet, I believe that's his name, and he named his team name out Rushmore. I no disagreements with Joe or anything like that, but, just want to talk about the history of TNA, just want to talk about, some of his picks, and then we're going to talk about some sleepers that maybe might as well, wind up on that list. So make sure you guys stay tuned for the end of the show. But we're going to go ahead and dive on into the meat of it. But before we go on into anything super duper contour, we're going to talk about the tips and donations link or the super chat. Whether if you got a burning question or hot take in terms of the world of professional wrestling, just know at the GSMC Sports Network, we are dying to hear what you guys have to say. Get anything, share anything you guys have on your chest in the chat. Questions, hot takes, absolutely anything in terms of the world of professional wrestling. Your voice will make a difference, so don't be shy. Drop your thoughts inside that chat. And if you really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed on air, why not use that super chat? Go ahead and, tap that $sign, which guarantees anything you guys put inside that little chat box is going to be featured, talked about, maybe even debated about, take place of a segment on a show. 1,010%. Just want to make sure you guys are absolutely active. Just make sure when you're watching a wrestling podcast or when you're watching a wrestling stream, I know like a lot of, sometimes the comment section, could be flooded, but just know on this podcast, everything you guys put inside that chat box is going to be recognized, talked about, and, just want to make sure you guys feel absolutely included 1,010%. Plus the super chats obviously keeps, the support for this channel. We definitely rely on you guys because, we have a whole bunch of passionate podcasters who love sports and, obviously, they live, they breathe, they die sports, and, they're going to give you awesome sports content 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. So make sure you guys like and subscribe to the show so you guys can continue getting the content that you guys love so damn much for absolutely free. We are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily on the GSMC Sports Network. Your, support makes all the difference. So hit up that super chat. Go ahead and, Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. And let's get this party started. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about our first segment. We got WWE NXT Stand and Deliver, which was good. I liked Stand and, definitely thought that was, pretty badass. But, obviously live from the T-Mobile Arena in Paradise in Nevada, we got to see the best of NXT and what they showcased. It was, okay, let's go ahead and start. First and foremost, we have the pre-show. We have the pre-show elimination match. We had the Meta Girls taking on Fatal Influence, Doling Paxley against Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. It was a good match. Obviously, Roxanne Perez, Cora Jade, not really seeing eye to eye. I want to see these two girls go at it like in a feud. I would, much rather prefer that than, them tagging with each other. From here and there, but the Meta Girls, Fatal Influence. I honestly thought the last team that I thought was gonna win was Gigi Joling and Tatum Paxley, but they picked up the dub. So obviously gotta throw some respect on their names. I definitely do respect both of the superstars there. They've had their time in WWE. NXT also went down to not down, but not like it's like a minor league team. Like the TNA. So, these girls are hungry. You know that they want to, be the next part of wrestling. And, we got them win. And they're going to take on tomorrow. I think they're going to fight next Tuesday for the WWE Women's World Tag Team Championships, which I feel like they can definitely win. And honestly, I kind of at this point hope kind of prefer they win. Next, we have the North American Championship match. Ricky Saints taking on All Ego Ethan Page. This match had it's been brewing over weeks and weeks and weeks. It was about time that we finally got it, and we did. Two former AEW stars, famous in the independents. Absolutely, they put in work. It was interesting to see the reaction from the fans. The fans, obviously, they do love Ricky Saints ever since coming to WWE, and he's going to be a big star. So putting the NXT North American Championship kind of reminded me of what they did with, Stephanie Vaquer when she came from the CMLL to WWE NXT, and, she got the Women's North American Championship right off the bat. So it's the right move. It's, creating, bigger star power within that, within the mid-card title, which, I know, not hating on Tony D'Angelo or anything like that. Not really hating on Wesley or Oba Femi. But, that title, I would believe since Oba had it, has been kind of like lackluster. And then Sean Spears won it for a couple of nights, which was kind of stupid. But I like Ricky Saints holding this title. I feel like what Ricky Saints has to offer to the WWE is exactly what they needed within that mid-card title. The Intercontinental Championship would be nothing without The Miz. The WWE United States Championship, I gotta be honest, still is kind of like, when you think about the title, you don't really have a specific person you think of. But the Intercontinental Championship, obviously, you think of The Miz. It needs attention, too. It needs a big superstar. It needs a face of the company, so to speak. So you have I know a lot of wrestling promotions, they want to absolutely push the stardom talent up to the World Heavyweights Championship picture in NXT. But it's I feel like it is kind of smart. It's smart to have, Ricky Saints down there. Well, not down there, but, because the NXT North American Championship is also prestigious on the brand. But I definitely feel like I want to see Ethan Page do a little bit more. I honestly would love to see him on the main roster. I do. I feel like he's kind of accomplished everything in NXT. He's in a way because he was a former NXT World Champion. I feel like he kind of did, help the push of Ricky Saints. So, I feel like right now, draft coming up, maybe a first round pick, maybe round one, pick one. Raw selects Ethan Page would be pretty badass. So, but overall, great match. It was a nice little storytelling match, but Ricky Saints is the, still NXT North American Champion. Thought that was pretty badass. Fraxium takes on Hake and Tank, and I gotta be honest, I absolutely hated this match. I thought it was, you had so many different tag teams come along the line that you're like, oh my god, this tag team would be way better than Hank and Tank to win. Not hating on Hank and Tank. I'm not trying to throw shade on them at all, but like they're versatile to a point. They kind of remind me of like the Nasty Boys of the early WWF days. But Fraxium and Nathan Frazier were so excited to watch in the tag team division. WWE NXT General Manager Shawn Michaels definitely has to, kind of pick and choose his battles here. Be like, okay, so now I'm putting the tag team titles on Hank and Tank. Fraxium, I don't want to see them split up, although I feel like they ultimately will be. I would love to see them drafted by Raw. SmackDown, although SmackDown kind of dropped the ball in terms of the WWE Tag Team Championships heading toward WrestleMania 41, I want to see Fraxium be good. I don't want to see them apart. It's bad for WWE if you split these two superstars apart. Hank and Tank on NXT, yeah, they can represent the championship for once in a while, here and there. But, you have OTM knocking on their door. You have the Coling as well. It's only a matter of time. And that's what ultimately shapes my perspective on this tag team division in WWE NXT, because I feel like, and honestly this is my opinion 1010%, that they kind of gave Hank and Tank the tag team titles because I feel like they kind of built Fraxium up too hardcore, like to the point where nobody can beat them, and it damn well might as well been that exactly. So you have Hank and Tank, they'll hold on to the titles for at least a month and a half. At least a month and a half. They're gonna rebuild that NXT tag team division, and obviously you have Swipe Right from WWE Evolve, and all these young rising stars that are going to make it in the tag team division. But, the tag teams in NXT have been, kind of failures, and it kind of sucks to say. I feel like maybe, Dark State, maybe they get involved in the tag team division and they claim all the titles. But, furthermore, I just hope that Fraxium winds up on WWE Raw, because that's just a perfect spot for them. 1010%. All right, now we have the next match. We have the Women's North American Championship match. It was good. It was good. It was good. It was cool to see Thea Hill kind of get all crazy, because that's kind of her overall persona ever since she left. Well, not left, but ever since, Chase U kind of went under. They were like, okay, so how is NXT going to depict Thea Hill from now on? She's no longer part of Chase U. She needs this new badass, absolutely like thrill, addicted to adrenaline kind of persona. And, we got that. We got that 1010%. I would have preferred seeing the title on Thea, or, once again won by Kaylani Jordan. But we got Sol Ruca. And Sol Ruca, I was hot on Sol Ruca. I feel like she should have been the inaugural WWE NXT Women's North American Champion. I'll go to my grave thinking that. I feel like she should have won the first time. Second time, she won the Women's Speed Championship, which the Speed Championship, let's all face it, it's it's kind of a joke. It's kind of a joke, and I'm not sitting here in front of you guys saying that it's a joke because I'm trying to be an arsehole or anything like that. It's the fact that WWE has made it to the point where who cares? It's on their X, it's on their X app, it's on their, it's streaming live. Maybe that could ultimately, be within the ties of WWE, Elon Musk and stuff like that. But, not getting political, you don't have these women walking around with the title. You never saw Candice LeRae with the Women's Speed Championship. You didn't see Andrade. You didn't see Dragon Lee with the Men's Speed Championship. So, it's WWE doesn't care. Why should we care? Why should we care 1010%? So then they put the title on Sol Ruca. I feel like the tag team between her and Zarya is damn near pretty much ended. which makes, it's kind of baffled because, you had all this time to kind of build up that chemistry between her and Zarya. And the fans, because, polar opposites attract, you had them kind of like invested. I want to see Zarya and Sol Ruca as the WWE Women's World Tag Team Champions, but we're not going to get that. We're not going to get that because Sol Ruca is the new WWE NXT Women's North American Champion. Maybe they're going to fight against each other, which is, all cool and grand and stuff like that. But I don't know. I feel like maybe their niche would have been more in the women's tag team division. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe 2 months down the line, I'm like, oh, Sol Ruca. And I'm not trying to dispute that. Not trying to dispute that whatsoever. That Sol Ruca is not going to be an amazing singles champion. Definitely not. Definitely not doing that. I wanted that from the beginning. Didn't get it. Sucks, but I guess we're getting it now. Maybe like a better late than never, but then again, maybe like, it's too late to apologize. So there's a different number of narratives that are kind of floating around ultimately. But, Sol Ruca is our new NXT North American champion, Women's North American Champion holder. So congratulations. Definitely love that. Next, we have the D'Angelo family taking on Dark State. This was easily a match that Dark State was going to win. The brawl started outside the ring, which is, pretty cool. I love the fact that Dion Lennox is absolutely just crazy. Absolutely crazy. And this is something that needs to happen with Dark State to be relevant in WWE NXT. You kind of had a faction like Retribution. Maybe the fact that they had a leader, maybe that if you're trying to introduce a new, tandem or a tag team within WWE, having a leader ultimately will cripple it, kind of. The Shield never really had a leader, although Dean Ambrose was kind of the mouth. And, the Retribution obviously had Mustafa Ali, which, X Division champion, which, he had a good run. 205 Live, Cruiserweight champion. You have the smallest guy representing your brand is not really the best thing. I definitely love the fact that Dark State won this match. Much love to the D'Angelo family, but it seems like Stacks might be heading out of the D'Angelo family, which is kind of ultimately kind of upsetting. All right, next we have the WWE NXT Women's Championship. The main event, 4 absolutely blockbuster women in the WWE as we speak. Jaida Parker, I thought did a fantastic job in the match. I definitely loved the way that she performed. But Stephanie Vaquer, she overcome the odds. Julia, Jordynne Grace. I would, you couldn't get the title back to Julia. You can. You shouldn't have. It was X. She was injured, took some time off, came back. A lot of people kind of depict her as the heel. I didn't really see that. Stephanie Vaquer is a well-deserving champion. Jordynne Grace is a well-deserving champion as well. Jaida Parker, I feel like, is hanging on by a thread at this point. Unsuccessful within the Women's NXT North American Championship picture, and now within the Heavyweight Championship picture in the Women's Division. So she's pretty much done. Jaida Parker needs something different. Absolutely different. Maybe she finds a way to, join forces with her, with her fellow enemy. Maybe her and Kelani Jordan, form a tag team or stuff like that. But, If Jaida Parker doesn't find a storyline pretty soon, she's going to wind up on a train out of WWE and be released just like that. And it sucks. Where has OTM been on NXT? Nowhere to be found. So sad to say it, but we will probably find these 3 NXT superstars out of NXT once their contracts expire, which sucks because you kind of have the future in front of you. Jordynne Grace, Julia, Stephanie Vaquer, WWE draft right around the corner. Who's going to pick up who? 3 hot tickets right there. And I'm not trying to be awkward. In the ring, they're professional. Just the wrestlers. The wrestlers don't think like that. Julia would do wonders in WWE Monday Night Raw, challenging Io Sky, another Japanese amazing women's wrestler. would be absolutely crazy to have a main event heading towards SummerSlam. Doubt they'll try to make it toward Money in the Bank or Backlash. Maybe Julia wins the Money in the Bank briefcase. Maybe Becky does. I would kind of hate if Becky wins the case. Being honest, I'm not a Becky hater, but I don't know. I would rather see somebody from NXT like Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez straight up screams Miss Money in the Bank. By the way, I would love to see her win that. But Stephanie Vaquer retains the WWE Women's NXT Championship, which is pretty badass. All right, we got the main event. I do not know why this was the main event. Kind of bothered me. You had the men's triple threat match. Obviously, Obafemi, defeats Siobhan Evans and Trick Williams to retain. I really honestly didn't know, why did they make this the main event? I thought this should have been, out of all the matches, match number 2 or 3. You should have had the women's NXT, North American Championship ladder match. Main event? No, you know what? I feel like the women's match should have definitely main evented 1,010%. Obafemi retains. So, Trick Williams, he got his rematch. He's done. He's going to try to... I feel like he will be drafted. Siobhan Evans, young, done. Tried to pander to the fans. Unsuccessful. He needs a heel turn. He needs character change because he can't go out and be like, that boy, bouncy. It's cool. It's cool 1,010%, and I do love Siobhan Evans. But overall, something needs to change. Something needs to change 1,010%. Siobhan Evans, once when Trick Williams is off of the NXT roster, a new babyface or another heel needs to be emerged, because I feel like ultimately Ethan Page will be drafted as well. And now you got Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks is a babyface, and Obafemi, he's not a babyface. He's not a bad guy. So it's going to be interesting to find out what NXT does, or maybe they're waiting for some new acquired talent to kind of ultimately decide on what's going to happen. But all in all, NXT Stand Deliver, it was good. I give it a 7. I give it a 7 stars out of 10. All right, guys, don't go anywhere. We got WWE WrestleMania Saturday talk. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 25 seconds. So hey, do not go absolutely anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday night live on the GSMC Sports Network, the GSMC Podcasting Network. We also stream live on Twitch. So make sure you guys Superman punch that like and subscribe button to get some notifications when we go live. We talk about all the action inside and outside of the ring, all the backstage curtain calls, all the rumors, all the dramas. All the, superstar inactive statuses, injury updates, contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We talk about promotions from WWE, AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, GCW for makes major news in the world of professional wrestling. We talk about it here on this show 1,010%. So don't be lame. I'm just kidding. Superman punch that like and subscribe button once again. Pool of WrestleMania about 2 years ago when you had Superman punch after Superman punch after Superman punch. Like, subscribe, like, and subscribe. Sorry, now I feel lame. I'm just kidding. No, moving on. So without further ado, we got some WWE Saturday Night Review. But before we get into any of that, I just want to remind you guys to go ahead and hit up that super chat. Whether if you guys have a burning question or hot take in terms of the world of professional wrestling, here at the GSMC Sports Network, we value your guys' opinions 1,010%. We want you guys to feel like this is our podcast. It's not a podcast that you see, you get some notifications and you're like, oh, cool, that wrestling guy's live. You know what I mean? We're live. So if you're dying to share something, make sure you guys share it inside that chat box. And if you really want to make sure your comment, question, or concern gets noticed on air, why not use that super chat? Go ahead and hit up that $, which guarantees anything you guys put inside that little chat box, it's going to be talked about, debated about, maybe even featured as a segment on the show 1,010%. Plus, it's a great way to support the channel, guys. We need your guys' help because we bring you guys awesome sports content 5 days a week, free, no ESPN Plus, membership or anything like that. No $70, $80 charge a month for YouTube TV. No, I'm just kidding. I'm being a little bitter about it. I got charged today on my card, and I was like, oh man, I was kind of hoping to throw a barbecue or something like that. Maybe like a poker night with friends. But I can't do that anymore. I'm just kidding. No, moving on. But all in all, GSMC Sports Network, pretty badass. Make sure you guys be a part of this awesome bloodline that we have in terms of sports podcasters. We are super grateful for each and every one of you guys who joins us here daily on the GSMC Sports Network. So, let's keep the conversation going. Let's keep this party started. Let's keep this party started. Damn. Easter weekend, guys. It was pretty hectic. WrestleMania, kids in the Easter baskets, the Easter egg hunting. My wife actually hid the eggs, which was a nice change of pace, which is pretty good, obviously. Give all the loves to the wife out there. Definitely love them. Love that. So without further ado, let's talk about some WrestleMania Night 1. Dun, 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 dun. All right, first and foremost, WrestleMania obviously held in Las Vegas, Nevada. And just kind of giving an overall, Night 1, Night 2. I thought the show was a little... could have been better. Obviously, I have hot takes. You have hot takes. Yada yada yada. But I feel like there was a lot of buildup. I feel like heading to Las Vegas. I know Las Vegas. The entertainment capital of WrestleMania. Like it never really kind of came in fruition, which kind of sucked. But then again, Las Vegas. You're either flush or bust. It's a city of hope, city of broken dreams, and, maybe that overall kind of had the theme, honestly, over Night 1 and Night 2. So, can't really be too upset, but it is what it is. First, we have a Jade Cargill match taking on Naomi. I definitely love this match. I loved, a lot of the women's matches in WWE WrestleMania was actually pretty damn badass. And surprisingly, and I'm not a Naomi basher or anything like that. I feel like she should have turned heel freaking years ago. You got to credit Naomi. Naomi really, honestly, Jade, ever since coming to the WWE, not hating on Jade, but this is the truth. Coming from AEW. AEW had a really relaxed schedule where she would work like 3 nights a week. Tops. Came to WWE, had to deal with a hectic schedule. Very, very family-oriented woman. That's the reason why she was written off of WWE. That's the reason why Naomi basically threw her into the windshield of the Escalade for her to take a vacation. How nice. But ultimately, Naomi really did a good job putting Jade over. Really did a good job kind of getting Jade used to this whole WWE. Because, let's just face it, AEW events are not like WWE events. It's a lot more intensity. The fans are absolutely lingering on every single word you say during a promo. They're lingering on every match, every move. That's the reason why us as wrestling fans and WWE fans, when we watch a match, and you know it yourself, as a WWE fan for a long time. You're watching the match, and you're watching it to enjoy it, yes, but at the same time, you're analyzing that match. You are absolutely analyzing that match 1,010%. You're like, okay, she could have done that better. Or, why did that happen? Triple H sucks. Vince McMahon sucks. Why am I so invested? It's because the story, it's the storytelling that happens within the ring. It's the story that's told within every submission, every suplex, every single drop toe hold. And that's why WWE doesn't get the credit it deserves. Oh, it's choreographed. It's fake. It's absolutely fake. It's terrible. I love the UFC. Dude, UFC fighters, you can fight. You can get knocked out in a minute and a half. 3-minute rounds. Wrestlers, they're injured during a match. Guess what? They won't let the crowd down. They won't tap out. They won't get up and walk out because they're pissed off or because they're hurt. They feel like they owe it to the fans, and a lot of wrestlers wrestle while they're hurt, wrestle while they're dealing with an underlying condition. It's because you're expected to put on a 6 to 9 minute match. Imagine in the UFC. Like, it could be over like that. And that's it. You paid for a pay-per-view about $70. Oh, thank you, Dana White. Awesome. But for professional wrestling, wrestlers can't do that. And it's not because they feel obligated to please the fans. Wrestlers have integrity. Wrestlers are emotionally invested in their character. Wrestlers, they love the fans. You've never seen WWE go under. You've never seen, UFC fighters kind of get the same love and attention that a lot of WWE fans, and there's a reason for that. UFC, the guy goes out there, I don't gotta say crap. I'm gonna go out there and throw punches. I'm gonna kick legs and stuff like that. Wrestlers, they have the pressure to, talk on the mic. They have the pressure to succeed in that heel role, that babyface role. I don't know. Once again, kind of arguing that the WWE superstars are way better than UFC fighters. Just saying, hot take. Understand. Fight me about it. You can find me at 417. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not gonna give you guys my address. Don't want you guys outside my doors. Bugging my children, asking for an autograph. I'm sorry, I can't deal with that. But just kidding. Overall, the match was actually pretty badass. Love that Jade got the dub right there. Grande Americano takes on Rey Mysterio. Well, not Rey Mysterio. Rey Fenix actually comes out due to an injury. Is Rey Mysterio actually injured? Not too sure, but when he did wrestle Monday Night Raw last week, I kind of thought it was stupid. I was like, why is Rey coming out here? And in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, he's an older guy. Why is he fighting a week before he fights Grande Americano? And and then you had Rey Fenix win. Maybe if Rey Mysterio participated in the match, we would find out that Grande Americano would be unmasked. Chad Gable put on one hell of a match. Can't really be upset about that. Chad Gable, this whole American-made storyline, and I know, like I said, this is not a political podcast whatsoever, but right now, America, in the eyes of the Latino community, yeah, we kind of look like jerk-offs here. But, and Chad Gable, in an interview, he kind of ultimately admitted that I'm not doing this to disrespect Lucha Libre. I'm not doing this to disrespect the Mexican Latino community whatsoever. This is, being from the Gulf of America, which is absolutely garbage. Chad Gable is an absolute badass. He's taken a lot of this heat, of just because my wife, she's very Latina, she's very Chicana. She absolutely hates the character of Grande Americano. And I try to tell her, I'm like, look, this is kind of satire. He's representing America. He's trying to be something that he's not. American politics. Not going any further than that. Trying to relate to the Latin American community, where honestly you've never really dealt with poverty, you never really dealt with any kind of, discrepancy in terms of that. But I'm gonna leave it at that. I love what Chad Gable is doing. I love the fact that Chad Gable, an amazing superstar, is getting the attention, a little, iffy attention here and there. But him as Grande Americano, if this is what it had to, this is what it takes to get Chad Gable on the WWE screen more often, we'll take you 9 times out of 10. I'm sorry, But the whole thing about, kind of being racially, ethnically, culturally, a little insensitive. I feel like maybe that's a little, bit of a step up there. It's a little push too further than my liking. But overall, I definitely love the story that Chad Gable was saying, kind of being lucha libre and stuff like that. You kind of have this, this American-made person trying to relate to Latin American community, and everybody from the Latin American community is kind of looking at him as a joke. But he's holding his punches. So Grande Americano defeats Rey Fenix, not Rey Mysterio, in a match at WrestleMania, which is pretty cool. This match, I got to be honest, we'll keep it pretty short. Love the fact that LA Knight's not the WWE United States Champion. Gotta love it. I feel like he should have turned heel, maybe like during SummerSlam, perhaps. Jacob Fatu is gonna do amazing things. He's the definitely one of the future in WWE. Heavyweight championship material. He will get to that point. Definitely expect him to have a nice, long United States Championship run. Don't expect anybody to take the title off of him. I'm not too sure how the Bloodline's going to kind of fit in with this storyline. I kind of hope it does. But, you got Roman losing at WrestleMania. Obviously, spoiler alert. Obviously, if you're tuning into this podcast, obviously you know what happened at WrestleMania. So don't make me feel bad. Just kidding. With the whole Bloodline, Paul Heyman's gone. Hikuleo, NXT, Zila Fatu seems like he's finding a lot of success in the independents right now. Obviously, WWE watches over that. Jacob Fatu needs to kind of go in business with himself, for himself. He needs to go in there, give everything he has, which he has 1,010%. Tonga Loba, Tamatonga gone. Are they going to side with Solo Sikoa once when these two finally feud, which we've been waiting for? We kind of thought we were going to get this WrestleMania match between Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu has the title now. Now there's a bargaining chip. Now there's something that's going to, kind of split the two apart. But I kind of hope WWE does this right, because if it's kind of done a little wonky, you could ultimately kind of lose a WWE superstar. You can lose Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa, already he's in terms, in the eyes of fans, he's kind of dwindling a little bit. But I don't know. It has to be done right. Next, we have new tag team champions. The New Day defeats the War Raiders. I thought there was going to be a little bit more meat in this tag team match, but the Raw tag team division, what can I say, is absolute garbage right now. So, putting the titles back on the New Day, obviously, seems like the right move. I ultimately should have thought that they should have beat the Judgment Day, when they were like baby faces with Big E, and now they're heels where nobody likes them, nobody wants to see them. People respect them, and now they're WWE Tag Team Champions, finally. So Triple H thought to himself that it'd be smarter for the New Day to be Tag Team Champions as a heel, which is fair. If you're bringing in a flood of new tag team competitors into WWE Raw, because the Raw tag team division is garbage right now. It's terrible. It sucks. It's literally the worst thing on planet Earth. The War Raiders, love the War Raiders, but temporary champions seems like it's kind of a fit for them. I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that. And now you kind of have the new. I don't know. You should. Once again, frustrated with the Raw tag team division. Next, we got Tiffany Stratton against Charlotte Flair, keeping this match also short. Charlotte Flair was putting over Tiffy. That's it. These girls had a hard physical bout. Charlotte Flair, a lot of the times, it seemed like Tiffany really cracked under pressure, which isn't good, which is really not good for WWE in the future of the women's division on SmackDown. Ultimately, I feel like maybe they let Tiffany, hold the title because they're moving off her Charlotte. Charlotte's kind of getting up there. She's getting a little older. Definitely a women's United States Championship run in her future. Tiffany Stratton's going to be taking on a lot of these new NXT superstars. Maybe the trainers that train Tiffany Stratton are more linked to a lot of these young NXT superstars like Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez, Gulia, yada, yada, yada. And maybe they're going to have more comfortable matches in the future. But this match, you saw Charlotte Flair literally pandering to Tiffany Stratton. Okay, come on, dude. You going to hit this? Are you going to hit this neck breaker? Are you going to hit this DDT? Do I really honestly have to carry you through this match? And it sucks, but that's just how it is. I hope Tiffany Stratton gets better. I hope that, because throughout the promos, Tiffany Stratton was, as of 3 weeks ago, dead in the water. And then 2 weeks ago in Chicago, it was awesome. And, she's kind of held that higher ground from there. But during this match, it was like a C. It was like a C. And that's not, for a Charlotte Flair match, that's not good. And with Tiffany Stratton being that Charlotte Flair competitor, not really good as well. Jey Uso takes on Gunther in the opening match of Saturday night WrestleMania. I feel bad for Jey. I feel bad for Jey because winning the Royal Rumble, Royal Rumble winners, I think there's only been a few exceptions to this, have main evented WrestleMania night 2. Even the women. Jey Uso, I think, and don't quote me on this, I feel like he is the first male superstar to win the Royal Rumble without being in the main event. And then Gunther, too, tapping out, so out of character. That's not Gunther. You buried Gunther, and despite the fact that he won the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, I feel like Jey Uso still kind of looks weak. Jey Uso doesn't look like he is... It doesn't look like he's ready, I feel like he should have had a longer Intercontinental Championship run, but obviously, Survivor Series comes around the corner. War Games, the fans want to see the original Bloodline taking on the Young Bloodline, and he drops the title after defeating Braun Breaker, and it's just oh my god! And the person who suffers the most is Jey. And then, and I like Jey Uso. I think he's pretty cool. I think he's awesome. And I do love the fact that he is absolutely consistent. He's on Raw every single week. He's not pulling a Brock Lesnar or a John Cena at this point. But I don't know. It just seems like it could have been done a lot better. But we have a new WWE World Heavyweight Champion, Jey Uso. Congratulations, but most importantly, yeet. All right, moving on to the main event, we have Roman Reigns taking on CM Punk, taking on Seth Rollins. This match was the best match out of not every single match in WrestleMania. Paul Heyman, oh God, Paul Heyman, that snake, wanted Roman Reigns the Shield, do it, get your revenge. And then the low blow, oh my God. He walks out with Seth Rollins as not even a championship holder, which I was kind of happy that they didn't include a belt in this. What's CM Punk going to say? Obviously, tonight, Monday Night Raw, I have not watched it yet. Been working like a dog lately. I can't wait to watch it. So make sure you guys, check on some Raw reviews. But I like the fact that Seth Rollins is a Paul Heyman guy now. He needed that. He needs that. Throughout this, this tandem between these three, he's been kind of alienated. Although he's been like the MVP of cutting promos and making this match relevant. He was overall the storyteller. CM Punk just was CM Punk. Roman Reigns was just Roman Reigns, the tribal chief. CM Punk, Seth Rollins ultimately kind of put this whole thing together. And he deserves what he's going to get. And I feel like he will be a future WWE champion. I thought he was going to be one of the Rock's guys. Obviously, I was wrong. As a Paul Heyman guy, I prefer it. I got to be honest, I prefer it more. But ultimately, we had Seth Rollins crush CM Punk's dreams of main eventing WrestleMania and winning, crushing the tribal chief, taking his wise man away. What's going to happen with Roman now? So now you have Roman, CM Punk. During this draft, I want to see these two men split apart. I don't want this, this feud is not relevant anymore without Paul Heyman. I'm sorry. It's sad to say it. Sorry, but it's not. So, this WWE draft has to be an absolute banger. this draft is going to make or break WrestleMania 42. So hopefully they do it right. You know, it's coming up in a couple of weeks. And we'll obviously find out more information on Monday Night Raw, which I have not watched. Gonna wait. WrestleMania Night 1. Overall, B+. All right, so WrestleMania Saturday night is in the books. Now we're going to talk about WrestleMania Sunday night. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, join me in about 25 seconds. So hey, do not go absolutely anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right, we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday night live on the GSMC Sports Network to talk about the greatest thing in the world, professional wrestling. We talk about superstars, their inactive statuses, injury updates, contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings. We talk about promotions from AEW to WWE to New Japan Professional Wrestling to Stardom to the GCW to TNA to Ring of Honor if it makes major news in the world of professional wrestling. We talk about it here on this show 1,010%. So without further ado, we got WrestleMania Night 2 talk. We recently talked about Night 1. Like I said, give it a B-, B+. But WrestleMania Sunday, I got to be honest, I would give that one an A-. I thought that was pretty badass. So obviously WrestleMania in Las Vegas, Nevada, we're going to start off with this street fight between Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. I love the fact that it was very physical. Love the share shots. Absolutely, well, because that's the attitude error in me. That these guys, they probably before the match, before they left the curtain, looked at each other like, look, this is WrestleMania, mate. This is something that's going to be linked to our careers for the rest of our lives, whether we like it or not. Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre went out there and had a great show. Had a great match. Honestly, out of all the men matches, this was probably like top 3. Definitely. 1,010%. I love the fact that Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre had, they had nice chemistry. They had a great match. They had a great street fight. A lot of people didn't expect it to be that physical with that much, foreign objects. WWE street fights kind of suck. They're not really street fights. They'll add a chair, a table, maybe even a ladder. Why not make it a TLC match? You'll always get that fire extinguisher, you'll always get that bump. Definitely. But this match was pretty good. Drew McIntyre won. I thought it would have been a little bit more beneficial for WWE to build up Damian Priest. This match, and Drew McIntyre, you've known this with his, WWE tenure. This is not going to be the last time you see these two go at it. I feel like these two will maybe, if the draft doesn't mess it up, they'll continue to antagonize against each other, maybe leading toward a match at SummerSlam. But, Damian Priest, I love the entrance. I thought that was pretty badass. But although I do kind of like the fact that McIntyre won. But so I can't really complain. This match was actually pretty badass. AJ Styles against Logan Paul. The YouTube TikTok star, the mega star. Fans still hate him. 1,010%, obviously, without the help of Karrion Kross, who really wants to see the old AJ Styles kind of come out. And if you think about it, if you had AJ Styles approach the WWE World Heavyweight Championship picture the way Jey is right now, will the WWE Universe ultimately accept him as a babyface? AJ, yeah, I feel like they will. But as a heel, I feel like ultimately that would create a little bit more fiber within the Jey Uso versus AJ Styles, overall narrative. I like the fact that Logan Paul picked up the victory. I'm sorry. A lot of guys, don't feel like Logan Paul is WWE. I feel like he is. The things that this guy does inside the ring is absolutely magical. He's a WWE superstar whether you like it or not. I don't really see the reason why people hate him. I don't. This guy, if you want a WWE fan, this guy is literally your role model to be a successful WWE superstar. And embracing that heel vision that a lot of WWE creative wants to create. And then Logan Paul, at first, even in his interview in Impulsive with Michael Cole, he was like, hey, honestly, Cole, I feel like I'm getting a lot of go-away vibes from wrestling. And a lot of people, it's cool to be the heel, but sometimes I can imagine it hurts. I can imagine, doing 2-a-days in the gym, doing everything you can to master the art of professional wrestling, storytelling with your bodies, with your physical actions, along with your with your mic skills. And Logan Paul, he checks all the boxes. I honestly would love to see this guy become a new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I feel like it's going to happen. I see Logan Paul as our new Mr. Money in the Bank. I'm sorry, but it just makes sense. It just makes sense. I would not want to see the briefcase on absolutely anybody else. CM Punk, nah. Seth Rollins with Paul Heyman, no, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Gunther. I don't even want to see Roman Reigns with the money in the briefcase. Although he's never really had it, I would rather see Logan Paul win the Money in the Bank. Because at this point, for him to win a WWE Championship, if he's put in the main event, he's either going to lose or fans are really, really, really honestly going to hate it. But if he cashes in, kind of like an Edge, forces his name down the throat of every WWE fan, it's perfect. It's an absolute perfect picture of him becoming a WWE champion by winning the Money in the Bank. Be like, oh, you only won it because you had the briefcase. Well, yeah, no crap. No, dude, really? That's what the briefcase is for. Do you often look down on a lot of these briefcase winners as, total awful superstars? No, you don't. It's the hate for Logan Paul that's going to do it, and it's the hate for Logan Paul that's ultimately going to propel him up to the main spot. And I got to be honest, I'm happy for him. And I want to see it. I want to see him as a champion. Next, we have the WWE Intercontinental Championship match between the defending Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker, Penta, Dominic Mysterio, and Finn Balor. This match was good. I definitely thought this match was, a little bit of Braun Breaker breaking everybody, but he definitely showed some vulnerabilities in the match, which is good because you don't want to make a superstar look so overhyped. You don't want to make him seem absolutely indestructible, kind of like a Brock Lesnar. Nobody, as a wrestling fan, I don't want to see that. Penta went out there, had a hell of a match, recognized, successful in Penta's eyes. Finn Balor went out there, had a good match, Judgment Day feud right around the corner. He did his job. Dominic Mysterio. The fact that this man he's the WWE Intercontinental Champion, whether we like it or not. I like it. I ultimately kind of thought he would be kind of like a nice little pick for the Money in the Bank. Become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion over Jey, and people would hate it. He would be the top heel in WWE by far, even in history. Everybody hates Dominic Mysterio. The way him and Finn Balor have been jawing back and forth at each other on Raw, Dominic Mysterio, in terms of saving the Judgment Day storyline, is basically saying all the thoughts that's inside the WWE Universe's head. We need a new person. We need a new direction. We need to do something different. Finn Balor keeps on shutting him down, closing his mouth, making him seem like he's the Billy Badass, and Dominic Mysterio is nothing but an errand boy. The fans, I feel like eventually will warm up to Dom. Him becoming the WWE Intercontinental Championship is definitely one of the best decisions. I feel like this match was top two. My number two, definitely, 1,010%. Penta's going to be fine. Braun Breaker, he's heading up to the World Heavyweights division, which he might as well, guaranteed to be. Finn Balor will feud with Dominic Mysterio for that Intercontinental Championship match, which will ultimately cause the demise of the Judgment Day and have, Finn kicked out. I love the fact that Dominic Mysterio, he let that WWE fan inside him. He left that coming to the shows with his dad, Rey Mysterio. He left that beside him. After the match, he was up on the ramp, sprinted past everybody, and everybody was like, whoa, 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 like, why aren't they attacking the new WWE Intercontinental Champion? He went out to the ring and had a celebration. He was standing on the top rope, happy as hell. He accomplished his boyhood dream. He saw his dad do it, being successful within professional wrestling. You see him kind of break character a little bit. The fans showering him with rejoice. Him loving being like a baby face. And he did it all by himself. When Dominic Mysterio and Rey Mysterio, had their feud, people thought, wrestling media, wrestling fans thought that without the help of Rey Mysterio, Dominic Mysterio would go nowhere. Joined the Judgment Day. Still, even myself, I'm guilty of this. Thought that Dominic Mysterio is going to do crap without his dad. Nepotism at its best. Went in Judgment Day, had his feud, lost to his dad over and over and over again. Finally won one, broke up with Rhea Ripley, joined Liv Morgan, and look at where he is now. You can't really be upset about that. Honestly, that's the reason why I feel like a lot of fans will eventually warm up to him. Is because literally, what is that song by, what's his name? Frankie Val? No, that's not it. I did it my way. Like, he really honestly went out there and did it his way. And it was pretty badass. So, congratulations, Dominic Mysterio. Next Women's World Tag Team Championship match. Don't really have much to say about this. What the hell happened? Becky Lynch comes out to replace Bayley. We don't even find... Okay, so now we have new WWE World's Women's Tag Team Champions. And it's cool. It's all great. Becky Lynch is a Women's World Tag Team Champion. She needs to be fighting, she needs to be fighting in the singles card. So maybe they find a way to kind of relinquish the titles. Or maybe, Becky tells Lyra that it was a one-time thing. You need to find a partner, this and that and the other. Maybe that happens. I want to see Becky go after Lyra Valkyria to become that WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship match. Championship winner, because when she does, she's going to make that title prestigious as if it is the Women's World Heavyweights Championship. And, I feel like, Backlash, I feel like maybe Money in the Bank might be a little too long, but... I feel like this automatically needs to happen 1,010%. Io Sky successfully retains the WWE Women's World Heavyweight Championship against Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. It was awesome. It was cool. I like that. I kind of like the fact that Io walked out. Rhea, too strong. Belair, way too strong. Both of these women superstars, kind of cancel each other out. Rhea Ripley, she doesn't have a claim to the title anymore. She doesn't. She really doesn't. So now she has to either be drafted to SmackDown, which I feel like she will be, and then Bianca Belair and Jade and Naomi will ultimately kind of split brands, which is sad because I really wanted to see Bianca embrace that heel role. I wanted to see her kind of I kind of want to see her, be the B word. I can't say it live, obviously. I want to see her absolutely be ruthless. I want to see her go out there and cheat. I want her to, kind of, with the poke to the eyes, a thumb to the eyes, a rake to the face, a referee bump here and there. I feel like that would be great for Bianca Belair, but we didn't get that. I thought we were going to. Io Sky holding the title, I got to be honest, it's perfect. And this match is my number one match of WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2. I'm sorry. But, shouldn't be apologizing because you have three amazing, absolutely gifted women in front of my eyes right now that deserved it. And I was hooked. I was hooked on every moment. So, definitely the match of WrestleMania. Congratulations to these three amazing superstars. But overall, congratulations to Io Sky for retaining that championship in this amazing match against two and, stellar amazing, out of this world, incredible women's specimens that is Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. So that's, that's pretty awesome. Main event time. A lot of fans are upset because they saw it coming. And, we knew that, Cena turning heel, you had to put the belt around him. Other than that, why would you do such a thing? You know what I mean? He's been announced, future dates. He's made an announcement for future dates a couple of times. Expected to be around WWE till, the end of the holidays. So I feel like overall John Cena, after cheating, well, not really cheating, because even Ric Flair, the dirtiest player of the game, John Cena is a 17-time WWE champion, world champion. And he deserves it. He deserves every single minute. He deserves the best in his glory. You know what I mean? Like, the whole way the match ended, Travis Scott coming out, I gotta be honest, I really didn't like it. And, with him putting the STF on Cody where it looked like he was applying zero pressure, oh, God, like, it was, I gotta be honest, John Cena, with his shoulder tackles and the 5-knuckle shuffle, super slow, like he was, I understand why he did it. I know why he dictated a match like that, because he was like, I don't want to give the fans what they want, and that's cool and all. It was just so slow against both characters, and there's a couple times where in the moves I was like, yeah, it looks like they're not really on the same page. Cody Rhodes loses the WWE Championship against John Cena. And right now, Cody Rhodes is kind of the golden boy WWE, so what's going to happen on Raw? Where are you going to take this John Cena storyline? Because now Cody Rhodes, he has a rematch clause. Is he going to use it at Backlash? I feel like maybe he will, and that's when The Rock will finally come back after Elimination Chamber, which is kind of stupid. The Rock has been invested in, he's kind of been the back, pulling the strings on this storyline without kind of being present, which kind of sucks. But I feel like he has to, overall show his face. But I, feel bad for Cody Rhodes. I do. I feel like he was a hell of a champion. WWE really kind of did bend over backwards for him as well, though. 2 years, back-to-back Royal Rumble winners. Main event of WrestleMania losing. Main event of WrestleMania 40 winning with all the hype. It was about time that Cody Rhodes suffered a loss. It's been so damn long. It really has. So, you can't really be upset that Cody Rhodes, be like, oh, why'd they take the title off him? He had one hell of a run. It's crazy. Full circle, a year. WrestleMania 40, WrestleMania 41. That's nuts. But congratulations to John Cena, our 17-time WWE champion. He will go down into history books, which is honestly better than Ric Flair. I gotta be honest. I'm not trying to sound mean, obviously, with all the stuff he did outside the ring. Whatever. It happens. But congratulations to John Cena. He's done the WWE so well. Honestly, he has. He's been a soldier. He's ensured the future of WWE for generations to come, and he deserved that 17 championship. I'm sorry, he really did. All right, next we have stars expected to come back to WWE. We're going to talk about them, so grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 25 seconds away. Do not go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
And we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday night live on the GSMC Sports Network, the GSMC Podcast Network, also on Twitch. Make sure you guys, like and subscribe to get those notifications. Also, we talk about things from inside the ring, all the action inside and outside the ring, backstage curtain calls, all the rumors, all the drama. We talk about contract negotiations, extensions, and new signings between WWE, AEW, TNA, you name it. If it makes major news in the world of in the world of professional wrestling. We talk about it here on this show, 1,010%. So make sure you guys, follow us, support our channel, 1,000, and make sure you guys do it. Just do it like Nike. All right, Stars is expected to be back in WWE. We're gonna talk about it. So without further ado, let's go and start off. First and foremost, we have Aleister Black heading back to WWE. I am excited, yet a little nervous. He did come back. Well, not come back. Well, he did have his. He was drafted to WWE, during the Vince McMahon, once when he was kind of doing his thing. And, Triple H, when he was rocking the black and gold in NXT, building up these superstars to insurmountable success. And then them coming to WWE, Vince McMahon basically like, well, Hunter, what am I going to do with these? I don't know what I'm going to do with these people. You know what I mean? And they just dropped the ball. And that's something that they did with Aleister Black, along with other superstars. But, you've seen the teasers on SmackDown. He's going to be on SmackDown without a doubt. So now you have a new WWE champion. Now you have a new United States champion. Aleister Black is coming back to WWE to cause some major damage within the roster. I feel like this guy's going to be an absolute levels above everybody. He's been an absolute, he's a former NXT champion. When he came to WWE, all the fans were absolutely crazy about this guy. I want Aleister Black, when he comes back, I really hope that he keeps his old entrance. That would be pretty badass. But I really hope they do. That would be so heartbreaking if they didn't. But I feel like this guy is going to, he's going to kill it. He's going to kill it. He's been removed officially from the AEW page. And, so now you have a lot of these AEW superstars who either left WWE and came back, or, who wanted to come back, who wanted to come to WWE from the beginning, like the Lucha Brothers, Ricky Starks, and Ethan Page, even Shawn Spears, Lexis King as well. And, what makes me think, and I'm not trying to make this into, like, some foregoing, like, clickbait or whatever, is WWE kind of doing this to rub it in Tony Khan's face? Everybody seems, besides the main heads, everybody seems to be jumping ship from AEW to back to WWE. With this new partnership with TNA, also with the Lucha Libre, AAA right around the corner, the partnership as well. WWE is straight up flexing on AEW. I know within this new streaming digital era that we live in today, it would be kind of stupid and damn near like kind of naive to be like, oh, AEW versus WWE. AEW doesn't give a crap about WWE. They don't. 1,010%. And I feel like it's kind of, it's kind of reciprocated. It's vice versa. Why would AEW have to consult with themselves with WWE? It's the same audience, so to speak, but at the same time, you have streaming deals. You're on HBO. You're on TNT. You're on TBS. Congratulations to AEW for surpassing WCW, by the way, Monday Night Nitro. Thought that was pretty cool. Something that I definitely do admire about Tony Khan is his overall just, his ability to kind of see absolutely everything, everybody throwing every question at him during the media scrum, during interviews and stuff like that, be like, oh, WWE this, WWE that, and the fact that I mentioned that is WWE rubbing this in Tony Khan's face is ultimately an outlier of why this is a feud, why this is, the Monday Night Wars revamped. It's not the same thing. The WCW live on TBS, TNT, obviously they don't get the same perks that, AEW has. I like AEW. I do. I got to be honest. I love their PLEs. Their weekly shows, hit or miss. You know what I mean? Collision, not really a big fan of Collision. Dynamite, I love Dynamite. I definitely do. I love the fact that WWE's bringing back Aleister Black. When the AEW, the whole thing with Rey Fenix causing the treatment of that he had from AEW, like it's inhumane, which is a huge word to use, by the way. In terms of talk, it's like like kind of like being like a dog, inhumane treatment or something like that. Like when when you think about that, you're like, damn. Are they whipping these, wrestlers? Are they feeding them like dog food and scraps and stuff like that? That's crazy. I I feel like right now AEW, the perfect time to do the kind of like cut all your losses that are, people who are begging to get out of their contracts to either go to WWE or a different wrestling promotion right now is, it's about time. And I feel like it's perfect for them to do so. So, we have Aleister Black hanging around the corner. Next, we have Miro. Miro, formerly known as Rusev Machia. Rusev, it's Rusev Day. Rusev Day once again is coming back to WWE. He signed with WWE. I don't know what they're gonna do with him. I really hope they don't, resume his role as the Bulgarian Brutes. Not that it's like, not anything like, culturally like, oh, we don't want to see that anymore or anything like that. But the fact that, last time we saw Rusev, you saw him in a feud with Bobby Lashley over his wife Lana, and not Triple H, but Vince McMahon would ultimately create these. You would put Lana in the spot where he had her and Dolph Ziggler like kind of make out and kiss in front of him, like kind of like, okay, you have to show me where how you're gonna convince these fans, which is absolutely sick, which is terrible. I want Rusev to come back to WWE as like a Miro character. I don't want to see Rusev back in WWE. Miro, different story. I want to see this guy, like if it's going to be the Bulgarian Brute, I want to see this guy absolutely. But then again, like this whole countries and stuff like that, like this whole like, stereotypical like kind of feel in wrestling, it's not the same anymore. It's a little bit more. Not insensitive, that's not the right word. It needs to be done right. It needs to be done right. It does. And, to embrace his culture, which by all means, if he wants to go back to wrestling, WWE and do that, I would love that. But I don't know. I just want to see something different. I just want to see absolutely something different. He's a 3-time United States champion. He was released in 2020 along with CJ Perry. They broke up. They're divorced now. It's all gone. In May of 2021, he did beat Darby Allin for that TNT championship. So him in the United States Championship picture, I would hate it. Because, he's been in the United States Championship picture before. U.S. delegates, and he did the 4 country. The 4 powers. There was Wade Barrett. There was, I think, Gender? I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that. I don't want to see Rusev come back. I don't. I want to see Miro come back. I want to see a whole different persona, whole different storyline. Shawn Spears came back as Shawn Spears, not Ty Dillinger, the Perfect 10. So, maybe, there needs to be something like that for Miro. Is he going to start in NXT? I honestly ultimately doubt it. But I don't know. I definitely, like I said, I don't want to see Rusev come back. I want to see like a version of Miro. Next, we have Saraya. Saraya, formerly known as Paige in WWE, might be making her way back to the brand. Recently announced her departure from AEW. Absolution. She had her Absolution, which consists of her, Mandy Rose, and Sonya Deville. And then, due to a match with, I think it was Sasha Banks, where, kind of put her on the shelf once again. She was, former general manager in WWE. I feel like she would be great. I don't want to see her back in NXT because she did light up that women's division on fire once upon a time. And she would, back in Revolution, I feel like that would be great for her. She did help the women's division, kind of usher in that Divas era. She's a former Divas champion as well. She'd admitted that she hated the Vince McMahon regime, thought it was ultimately dumb. If you basically had to get ahead in wrestling, if you're a woman, you had to do X, Y, and Z. Don't want to get into it. She... Ever since she went to WWE, ever since she left WWE, it was kind of crazy. But she is the inaugural WWE NXT Women's Champion. Maybe she forms, or maybe she takes Sonya Deville's spot within, Pure Fusion Collective and kind of joins Zoe Stark and Shayna Baszler. But, the women's division on SmackDown and Raw needs help. It really, really does. And it's You look at the women's division, the best women's wrestling division is in NXT. There's no doubt about that. So you have all these stars that are going to make it back to, or they're going to make it up to the Raw roster. They're going to make it up to the SmackDown roster. I feel like Saraya Paige would add a whole different flavor to the whole championship picture. Her challenging Lyra Valkyria for that Women's Intercontinental Championship match. Her challenging Chelsea Green for that WWE Women's United States Champion. It would add a little bit of flavor, and honestly, I would prefer it. Saraya coming back to WWE, obviously, when she left, not really on great terms, but this girl's a star. Her dream of being a WWE superstar will forever be her dream. She wants to retire as a WWE superstar. There's no doubt about it. If WWE signs her to a minimal 1 or 2 year contract to kind of, just kind of see what's up. A little breath of nostalgia, a little veteranism inside the locker room I feel like it'd be great. And her going to AEW, not really achieving that much success. She was very active, not really any lingering injuries. She comes back to WWE, shows that she can stay healthy from 6 months to 8 months. You could put a title around her waist, 1,010%. And the fans would love that. The fans love Paige. 1,010%. So I with all these three superstars, Aleister Black, Miro, and also Paige, it would be, I don't know, I feel like all these three superstars will fit in WWE. Mostly the question is how they're going to do it. Because, you've seen these three superstars fail in WWE before. Obviously, I heavily blame it on Vince McMahon. So you have these three superstars coming back to WWE, and I feel like it could be done right. But like I said, Miro needs to be Miro. Aleister Black needs to be successful, and Paige needs to win the Intercontinental Championship, United States Championship. If she makes it to NXT, Women's North American Champion would be ideal, would automatically, kind of be a must. So, I don't know. I'm hoping for the best for these three superstars. All right, without further ado, we have our fifth and final segment. We got TNA Impact Mount Rushmore. So grab your favorite snack, grab your favorite ice cold beverage, and join me here in about 25 seconds, so do not go anywhere. All right, and we are back with the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your favorite wrestling fan here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday night live on Twitch, on the GSMC Sports Network, the GSMC Podcasting Network, on YouTube. Make sure you guys Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show so you guys can get some notifications when we go live. All right, so without further ado, we're going to talk about our fifth and final segment. Make sure you guys catch up on all the segments from this show. We talked about WrestleMania Night 1, WrestleMania Night 2. We talked about WWE NXT Stand and Deliver. We talked about three wrestling superstars making their way back to WWE. Aleister Black, Miro, and possibly, Saraya. Paige, formerly known as Paige. So let's go and talk about some TNA. TNA, total nonstop action. Guys, don't get too crazy. So we're going to talk about some TNA. We're going to talk about some of the, ultimately some of the Mount Rushmores. I know a lot of time TNA is, it's not really the biggest topic, not really the most popular, But, you know, TNA had some stars. They had some dudes. They had some dogs under their roster. And, you know, a lot comes to the mind once when you think about, you know, TNA, Mount Rushmore. In an interview while speaking with Chris Van Fleet, Samoa Joe spoke about his Mount Rushmore, and you know, I can't really disagree with it. I can't really disagree with the Mount Rushmore. Everybody has their Mount Rushmore professional wrestling, Mount Rushmore basketball, baseball, football, you name it. Even, you know, influential, you know, music people like, you know, Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, you know, just, you know, people like that. But overall, we found out Samoa Joe, you know, Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, Jeff Jarrett, and the Monster Abyss, which is all amazing superstars. All amazing superstars, 1,010%. Let's start off with AJ Styles. AJ Styles, a hometown boy, Nashville, Tennessee. That's where they filmed a lot of their, you know, kind of like the Performance Center in Orlando for NXT. That's what TNA was to Nashville. You had a hometown boy, you know, AJ Styles within, you know, X Division, killing it. You know, as, you know, TNA World Champion. I was, okay, I'm, you know, not trying to seem like I'm like the biggest TNA know-it-all here. I watched TNA exclusively from 2006 to about 2008, 2009. Once when Hulk Hogan came, and then Kevin Nash, and then Scott Hall, and then Eric Bischoff, and I was like, okay, like, dude, are they trying to, like, hijack this show and have it be how WCW effed up, and now we're trying to make it right? No, I don't want to see that. And that's exactly what they did. Dixie Carter took Panda Energy, her sponsor that put major money in. Obviously, you know, her dad was linked to it. And she was like, nah, man, guess what? See ya, I'm gone. They don't want to be a part of that. Don't want to do that. AJ Styles definitely helped TNA piece it all back together. He kept the butts in the seats. He was the reason why a lot of people would, you know, pay $100 to see Bound for Glory and stuff like that. And that's TNA. When you think of TNA, you think AJ Styles. I'm sorry, you do. Kurt Angle leaving WWE in 2007, obviously dealing with a lot of injuries, with a lot of, you know, outside, you know, a lot of like divorce, you know, substance abuse, painkiller medications and stuff like that. You know, he really went from like a 5, 6, 7 day schedule of WWE to working 3 times a week most for Impact, which is good for him, which was very, very good. When he came to TNA, that definitely put TNA on the map. It put TNA on the map. It just sucks that there wasn't the right people in charge to overall like ensure the success of TNA with Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle coming to TNA was a massive bombshell. A lot of people thought it was basically like a reckoning. It was basically like a rebirth of TNA, and a lot of fans. There was a lot of TNA fans. A lot. There's a lot of people coming to the shows. You know, so now you have, you know, top tier talents like AJ Styles, Sting, Kurt Angle, Bully Ray, Jeff Jarrett. You have all these personas. You know, I was a fan of James Storm as well, Samoa Joe himself. And now you have Kurt Angle in the mix. And that changes things. Because he was WWE's guy. You know, and then once when Eddie passed, you know, JBL was getting older, The Undertaker getting older, Kane getting older, Triple H, Shawn Michaels getting older. Kurt Angle was going to be that next top tier guy. Kurt Angle, you know, he was around the Attitude. I would say he's probably like, you know, 5 or 6 years younger than the dudes I just, you know, announced. But Kurt Angle was just something different. He was something different. And WWE definitely dropped the ball. He said, guess what? Go screw yourselves. I'm out of here. Kurt Angle being on the Mount Rushmore TNA is definitely a must. The Monster Abyss. The Monster Abyss needs to be on this list. You can't talk about TNA, much like AJ Styles, you can't talk about TNA without talking about the Monster Abyss. You know, this guy was essentially Mankind, Kane, and The Undertaker mixed up into one person. Triple iconic, triple adored by the fans, but most importantly, tripled respected amongst the wrestling community. So Abyss being up there makes sense. Jeff Jarrett, you know, he acquired the company, although, you know, at the end of it, he kind of did ultimately sue them in the end, which is kind of crazy. He was the top heel guy. He basically turned into the Triple H of TNA. You doing lie detector tests with Jim Cornette. He was that guy. He was that bad guy. Which ultimately opened up a lot of the storylines from the TNA stars that we love so damn much today. So I feel like Jeff Jarrett ultimately kind of being up there deserves it. But, once when TNA formed, TNA was established shortly after WCW ended and ECW back in 2001. Bob Ryder, Jeff, and Jerry Jarrett went on a fishing trip and actually started talking about how we can make a wrestling promotion, kind of come in fruition here. TNA basically started on a fishing trip, which is actually pretty funny. Since WCW was canceled, many people believed that television stations thought professional wrestling was bad for business, because you can't really blame them for that. Who would really, really honestly go up against the WWF, the World Wrestling Federation, made the WWE? You had stars like The Rock, you had Triple H there, but a lot of WCW superstars who made it to WWE were ultimately kind of made example of. A lot of the ego of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And there was a lot of shots fired back in the Monday Night Wars. Recently, I watched an episode of Monday Night Raw back in the day. Not Bill. What was his name? Gilbert. And it was even Michael Cole was on the mic just absolutely busting his ass, laughing his ass off, because you were really mimicking WCW's upcoming star that was Bill Goldberg. Gilbert. No, shots fired. Shots fired from both sides, 1,010%. So, WCW superstars, when they made it to WWE after Invasion, were basically set to fail. They Chuck Palumbo, Billy Gunn, or you look so, where they were like male models, and oh my God, it was so bad. Rico was there. Oh my God, a lot of people that came from WCW to WWE. It was a shit show. Sorry, excuse my language. It was bad, very, very bad. But then again, the language I just spoke basically showed you guys the frustration that a lot of these WCW superstars had. Diamond Dallas Page was made a stalker of The Undertaker's wife, which is cool. Bill Goldberg and Sting saw all the treatment that was happening. They're like, you know what? WWE, WWF, guess what? No, thank you. Don't want to do that. I feel like that's a huge reason why I have so much damn respect for Booker T. He endured all the bullshit. All the bull spit. Sorry, I don't know why I'm cussing so much. Damn it. He endured all the BS. He did. He really did. He stuck in there. In a promo with Triple H looked at him. He was like, who are you? Oh my God. In professional wrestling, that's an absolute no-no. That is just riveting. All the confidence swirled down the drain right there. For a WCW upcoming young superstar, the five-time WCW champion, and you wouldn't put in a spot like that. Becomes a member of the NWO, kind of being made fun of, kind of being a little errand boy. It just wasn't good. It wasn't good for a lot of these WCW superstars, and it was different back in the day because we didn't have streaming services. No Hulu, Netflix, none of that. Absolutely none of that. Back then, like TNA, it was hard. It was so damn hard, man. They were not relying on television. How could they, with WWF being such a blockbuster, being such a monopoly in terms of professional wrestling? But they had pay-per-views. They did do pay-per-views every. They just ran weekly shows, pay-per-views, sometimes monthly shows. Their first show was June 19th of 2002. They were at the Tennessee State Fairgrounds Sports Arena in Nashville, Tennessee. They call it TNA Asylum. After 27 months, they had 111 pay-per-views. That's crazy. TNA Explosion started November 27th of 2002. And of course, 2004 to 2010, you had your TNA Impact roster, which included a whole bunch of awesome names. It was actually pretty badass. It was pretty cool. But I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. So, thinking about what Samoa Joe said, AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, the Monster Abyss, Jeff Jarrett, all fair, all awesome Mount Rushmores of TNA Impact. But, maybe there's a couple of people that he kind of left off. First and foremost, Samoa Joe himself. Samoa Joe was 1,010% a TNA superstar who set the boundaries of, he set the status quo of what it takes to kind of compete with wrestling promotions like WWE, like, back then, WCW and ECW. And, of course, the NWA, which they kind of, ran partnership with a little bit before then, but, all good things must come to an end. So Samoa Joe himself would have been pretty badass. Obviously, the icon Sting being in, that same category. I feel like he could have, he's a 4-time champion TNA. So, he could have most likely been on the TNA Mount Rushmore. Bully Ray, Aces and Eights, absolutely changed the game. His brother Devon as well. Christopher Daniels right now doing wondrous things in AEW. Can't count his name out. Gail Kim of the women's division of the TNA Knockouts. She created the whole division. Mount Rushmore, I would see her on there. Bobby Roode, I love the fact that Bobby Roode would be on my Mount Rushmore of TNA. I just don't know who I would knock off between AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, Abyss, and Jeff Jarrett. But, when he was at his highest in TNA, he was just the heel that everybody loved to hate, and he did so damn good. He did so well at it. Then Austin Aries is a respectable mention, but, didn't really make it. Eric Young. Eric Young has been within TNA for so damn long. I think he was Shark Boy. Then he became Eric Young. Don't fire Eric Young! And then he, went to, then he left TNA for a little bit. NXT Sanctity, or whatever. Made it back to TNA, where he's still, damn well is killing it right now. The whole thing with, Steve Macklin and stuff like that. Pretty badass, pretty cool. But, you can't mention the history of TNA without Eric Young. He really stuck through it, through the thick and thin. He really did, which is very admirable. So I definitely love Eric Young being on a possible Mount Rushmore of TNA. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed my show. Hope you guys had a good time. Remember to Superman punch that like and subscribe button to the show. Follow us on Twitter/X, however you guys like to call it. Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook for more content and updates. And if I haven't made you a wrestling fan by now, check out all the other amazing, passionate sports podcasters we have here at GSMC Sports. We got Nolan with the Dead Ball Podcast. We got my man Marab talking NBA with the GSMC Basketball Podcast. It's shaping up to be a damn near unpredictable NBA postseason, so make sure you guys check out his podcast to find out all the sliders, find out all the main highlights, what to look for if your team is still in the hunt for the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Make sure you guys check out his podcast. We have my man Jake with college football. The draft is on Thursday. I, without a doubt, predict that he's going to have his nice little, if he have not already, come out with what is it? Draft lottery? No, that's not it. Draft board? I'm getting closer. Mock draft. Oh, I've got it. You guys should be happy for me. Clap. I'm just kidding. No. Moving on. Make sure you guys check out his podcast as well. We got my man, I don't know why it's so freaking busted on me right now. We got my man Jeremy talking all sports. We got my man Kenneth as well talking all sports. We got Matt Quinn as well talking football. Like I said before the draft, make sure you guys check out all that awesome podcast. We have NFL offseason talk. Make sure you guys tune into all the hottest news. And guess what? It's absolutely FREE free. I give you guys the Eric Rodriguez guarantee that you guys will not regret subscribing to such an amazing network who loves their audience and 1,010% gives you guys the best sports content, the best free sports content. So don't miss out. Don't miss out on this awesome sports bloodline that is GSMC. Once again, hope you guys had an amazing Easter weekend, gearing up for an amazing, lovely week. Stay beautiful, but of course, always love you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit.